Ooh, that looks tasty.
Welcome folks, The Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we're talking about Sardegna from Crafty Games and designed by Stefan Dora. Now, what this game is this is a area control game that has card play to do all of your actions, and it is very similar to what you may be familiar with from the classic game Concordia. And you'll be playing your cards, which will allow you to both place out villagers, place and move boats, place out villages, and place out forts onto the board. And over the course of the game, you'll be scoring based on the different nodes around the board and scoring the areas around it. And additionally, you'll be collecting resources, which will also score you points exponentially as you go. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played, and we'll jump into my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about how this game is played. In a nutshell, every turn, each player is going to play one of their cards. And you have a commander, which allows you to place one of your workers out on the board, or move your workers a total of 4 spaces, whether that is 1 worker 4 times, or 2 workers twice, however it is that you would like to do that. Then you have the queen, which will copy any of the other cards that you've played. There is the priest, which allows you to place your priest out onto the board, or move your priest, and the priest matters because when your priest is there, any other player's villagers that come in will be stopped and they can no longer move. There is the architect, which is going to allow you to build a fort on one of the fort spots, or a village onto the board, and that's going to matter when it comes time to score. There is the admiral, which will allow you to place one of your ships anywhere that has a ship's wheel, or move it to any other location that has a ship's wheel. And then you have the farmer. And the farmer is going to allow you to, any location that you have a path of villagers moving back to a ship, you can pick up one of the resources that are there. So in this instance, I could pick up the grapes, or I could pick up the cheese. If I had more of my workers out, like so, I could also pick up this cheese here. Though, as you can see, if I don't have a direct line back to a boat, then I cannot pick it up. And that's going to matter because the goods are going to score exponentially. So the first cheese I pick up would get me 1 point. The second cheese I picked up would get me 2 points, and 3 points, and so on, and so on, and so on. And then the final card is the Sentinel card. And that's going to do 2 things. One, it's going to allow everyone to, at the end of the round, pick up all of their cards, and it's going to create a scoring opportunity. And for that, you'll look at the first card all the way over here on the left, in this case, the 14. So you look around the board and you find number 14, which in this case is right here. And that means all of the regions next to it will score. In this case, there is this region and this region. And so for scoring, you're simply going to take a look around at who has the most presence. So in this case, the fort is next to it, that provides 1. And this villager also provides 1 to this region, while only 1 presence for blue. And whoever has the most presence gets the full points, and second place gets half. While this one over here, there is a single village which provides 2 presents for blue, meaning that blue would win here and get all 3 points. I will also point out that having a ship next to a province, directly next to it, also gives 1 presence. Then, once that is done, whoever played the Sentinel card, first you'll discard the card that was scored, you can slide everything down, and then you flip the next card, like so. And the player that played the Sentinel card then gets to choose, because they now know that 12 is going to score 2 Sentinels from now, and they can take a look on the board and they say, ah, right here. So yellow would clearly want that to play. Blue might not, so if blue played that card, they'd say, you know what, we're going to get rid of that, discard that, draw a new card from the deck, and that will go right there, and that's the one that's going to score in 2 Sentinel plays. Now there is an optional rule that I'll point out, where if you are playing with the variant, no one can play a Sentinel card until at least everybody has played 3 cards already. Once that's been done, then a Sentinel can be played, or you can play with the core rules, which means you can play a Sentinel whenever it is that you would like. And that's pretty much how this game works. So what do I like about this game? So before I can even talk about that, I have to explain how this game is kind of coming to market. Crafty Games is, as I understand, localizing this new version of this older game that, to my understanding, has never been published in English before. And that brings me to the thing that I feel the need to talk about. If you are familiar with me, you know that I do not support AI art. I just don't. I have my reasons. I'm happy to have that discussion at some point. Maybe I'll do a podcast episode on it. But needless to say, I don't support that. And I don't cover games that use AI art. I probably turn down, I don't know, 2 or 3 a month. And this particular game has made some use of AI art. And after a long discussion with Alex at Crafty Games, what he has told me is very simply that he didn't know that they were doing it. And at the end of the day, what he has been told, what I have been told, is the hired artist used AI, didn't like the results, and then re-illustrated everything based on, I guess, the structure or whatever that he saw. Now, normally, this would mean I would not cover this game. However, I am covering this game because I do know for a fact that Crafty Games does not support AI art and has hired artists and has hired culturally sensitive artists, and all in all does a very good job of all of that kind of thing. And in this case, we're taken off guard and put kind of in a bad spot. So with that in mind, I decided to still cover this game, but because of that, it will not be eligible for any of my awards the rest of the year, whatever that actually means. Now, with that being said, what do I like about this game? I really like the cool box. The box is awesome. I love that it is, one, very, very tiny. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate a tiny box, but the fact that the lid just kind of unwraps and folds out into a pretty cool little map, I adore. I think that is just fantastic. And because of that, the size of it, Peter Vaughn, Original Don, and I were actually able to play this on a train. And that was the first time I got to play it, so I just adore the way that works. That is just completely awesome. It's a very cool production, and I adore that. The next thing I'll say is, this game is very reminiscent of Concordia in the style of play. You're playing out these cards, and then they're coming back. Now, to be fair, I don't know when Concordia came out, I don't know when this game originally came out, but whatever, it reminds me of Concordia. And that's the whole reason why Concordia is fun, where you're playing out these cards until you play one that lets you pull cards back. Now, this one has a little bit of a twist in that once one person plays the pullback, everyone gets to pull back, and that kind of triggers a scoring round, so it's a little bit of a twist there, and I like that as well. Speaking of the scoring, I really like how the scoring works. I love how you are kind of fighting over these little nodes around the board, and you can get those forts out really easily, you get your villages out really easy, but then they don't move. So once you've done that, you've kind of locked in for those rounds of scoring. But then when something comes up on the other side of the map, you're kind of racing your way across the map, trying to get there to kind of claim that new scoring. And I love the way that works, especially because the person who triggers it can decide the next card, you know what, I don't like that next card that's going to be scoring down the road, so let's throw that away and let's pull another one in. I think that's just really inspired and is what gives this game the bulk of its replay, I think, is that strategy right there. The last thing I'll say is, it's a quick area control game, and there's just not a lot of quick area control games. Court of Miracles. Done. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. And Court of Miracles in itself is less area control and more knife fight in a phone booth, really. This one really does have an area control vibe to it as you're moving around, the way the different units work. I think that all works really well. I think it's a very clean, very clever little game, and I like it. So what are my quibbles with the game? Obviously, I already mentioned the AI thing. First thing I'll say is, it does come with, and this is probably my only real quibble with the game, is the way the game ends is after you get through X number of scoring cards. And every time someone plays the card that triggers it, you get another one. So that means one person, if they're in the lead, can just push the end of the game. Just keep playing it, playing it, playing it, playing it, playing it. Or you can play with the variant, which doesn't allow you to play that until you've played at least 2 other cards, maybe 3 other cards. And I've played both. And there is that thing that can come up of, well, someone just starts pushing the game, and every time it gets to their turn, they're doing another scoring, and that can get frustrating and kind of boring. However, on the other hand, there are some times when you're playing with the variant that you can kind of bog down, because you've got all your villages out, you've got all of your forts out, and so now there's only a few cards that you can actually play that do anything, and sometimes they're not even useful because of the way the next scoring node is going to be. So there can be either this rush to the end of the game, or towards the end of the game there can be this a little bit of a bogging down, and it becomes very, very chess-like and positioning and really trying to position your troops exactly perfectly. And it just takes away, I think, from the speed of the game a little bit. And the only other thing that I will say is I don't think this is a game that's high on discovery. It's a term we reviewers like to use, discovery. I think this is a game of skill. And again, that's not good or bad, but this is a game that once you've played it once or twice, you have seen it all. It's just a matter of how well can you utilize the things that you know are coming to outthink your opponents. But there you have it, folks. That is Sardegna. Overall, I think it's a very cool little package. I love how much game there is in that small box. And I think if you're someone that likes Concordia and likes area control, well then this is something that you absolutely need to check out. So, there you have it, folks. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with the timestamp so I can get that in the Klingon subtitles. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, share, maybe become a channel member. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.